ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Srimad Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 verse 20. Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam maya anag etat buddhva buddhimana syat krityascha bharata. O sinless descendant of Bharat, I have hereby revealed the most confidential secret of the Vedic scriptures, understanding which intelligent persons can become even more blessed. Lord Shri Krishna is now concluding this chapter by stating that, O Arjun, the knowledge that I have given to you in these last 19 verses is the most confidential secret of all the Vedic scriptures. Vedic scriptures are like a vast ocean. It is very difficult to fathom them. There are 4 Vedas with hundreds and thousands of verses, 1100 Upanishads, 18 Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Vedanta Sutras, and then so much deep knowledge is there in all these scriptures. Shri Krishna, out of great compassion, has given the essence of all these scriptures through Bhagavad Gita. Shripad Adi Shankaracharya states, Sarvo Upanishado Gavah Dogdaha Gopal Nandanaha Partha Vatsah Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gita Mritam Mahat. That all the Upanishads, all the Vedic scriptures are like the cow who is being milked by the cowherd boy Gopal, Shri Krishna. And who is the calf? Arjun. And Sudhir Bhokta, those who have purified intelligence, they drink this milk, which is Gita Mritam Mahat. This nectar of Bhagavad Gita is relished by those who have pure intelligence. And Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses, and Krishna has summarized those 700 verses also in these 20 verses of chapter 15. So if one understands these 20 verses clearly and is fully convinced by what Shri Krishna is explaining in this chapter, then he would have understood the most confidential knowledge that is being given in the Vedic scriptures. So Krishna says, Etat buddhva buddhiman syat. By understanding this knowledge, one will become intelligent and he will become even more blessed. Srila Gurudev states in the commentary that in concluding this subject, Sri Bhagavan says that the part of scripture delineating Purushottam Yoga as described in this chapter contains the most confidential knowledge. So this chapter is called Purushottam Yoga. Purushottam, as we have discussed in the last couple of verses, means the supreme person, and Yoga means to connect. So this chapter is describing who the most superior person is and how we can connect with him. And therefore the knowledge given in this chapter is the most confidential knowledge. So Shri Gurudev explains that the import of this statement, that this chapter contains the most confidential knowledge, this means that no one except the devotees can comprehend this knowledge. Since Arjun is a very dear devotee of Bhagwan, Sri Bhagwan is revealing knowledge of this most confidential reality to him only. A very, very important point to understand. This Bhagavad Gita is like a treasure chest with a lock on it. And who can open the lock and get access to the valuable jewels in this treasure chest? The key to that lock is only with the devotees. You know why? Because the basis of understanding Bhagavad Gita, the real meaning of Bhagavad Gita, is to know that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is only a bhakta, only a devotee who knows this. And therefore he has the key to the lock to this treasure chest. Because if we do not believe that Krishna is God, then even though you may read all the Sanskrit verses of Bhagavad Gita, you may read the commentaries written by those who themselves don't believe in Krishna as the God, then you will not get the real essence, the real confidential secret that is being described in Bhagavad Gita. So you will not really have access to the jewels in this treasure chest. So the treasure chest is there, but you don't have access to it. So you may have Bhagavad Gita, but you don't have access to the real meaning of Bhagavad Gita. So therefore one has to understand Bhagavad Gita through a devotee of the Lord. Without associating with the Lord's devotees, without hearing from them, no one can comprehend this most confidential, transcendental knowledge. And Krishna has also chosen Arjun to be that via medium, because Arjun is a pure devotee of the Lord. So through him, he is giving the knowledge to all of us. The lives of those who are able to attain knowledge of this confidential truth by the mercy of the devotees are blessed. Shri Krishna also refers to Arjun here as Anag. Anag means that one who is free from all sins. Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj states in the commentary that Anag, O sinless one, means that unless one is free from all sinful reactions, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. So, when we are absorbed in doing sinful activities, when our mind is polluted by sinful desires, then we cannot understand the Supreme Lord. What are the sinful activities? Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and having illicit relationships. So, as long as these sinful activities are there, not possible to understand Krishna. So one has to become free from all contamination, all sinful activities, then he can understand. But then how will one become free from this? This seems like a chicken and egg thing, that we cannot understand Krishna till we have become free from sin, and we cannot become free from sin till we engage in bhakti. So, Srila Swami Maharaj states that the devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. So, our acharyas have explained that one does not have to wait to become free from sinful desires, from sinful activities to take to bhakti. Because when one takes sincerely, one may have this weakness, one may have these desires. But if with some faith in the Lord and his devotees and his message and the process of devotion, if one has some faith in it, little faith, and then takes to the process of devotional service, then this process is so potent, so powerful, that all his sinful desires will automatically go away without the person having to make any separate effort to become free from them. Because as he develops a higher taste, the higher taste of devotional service, then this lower taste of enjoyment in the material world, and especially enjoying these sinful activities, will automatically go away. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states in the commentary that Krishna is saying, O sinless one, this Purushottam Yoga is indeed the most confidential instruction in the scriptures. Upon knowing it, an intelligent living entity becomes enlightened and blessed. O Bharat, all impediments in connection with the proper understanding of Ashray and Vishay are dispelled when one understands this yoga. So he's explaining a very important point, that there are a lot of impediments, lot of misconceptions and difficulties related to the proper understanding of Ashray. Ashray means one who is the abode of bhakti, and that is the living entity. So the devotion resides in the heart of the practitioner, the living entity. Every living entity is ultimately the eternal servant of the Lord. We may or may not realize it at this point in our conditioned state, but the truth is, constitutionally we are His eternal servants. So bhakti is there within our heart. We still are oblivious to it. We have not realized it. So the living entity is the ashray, or the abode of bhakti. And Shri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is Vishay, meaning He is the object of that bhakti. Bhakti means pure love. So that love, the subject of that love is the living entity, and the object of that love is the Supreme Lord. So he says that all the misunderstandings related to these two are dispelled when one understands the Purushottam Yoga described in this chapter. He states further that bhakti is the blissful activity of the soul. To correctly execute the process of bhakti, two factors are most necessary. So please listen to this very carefully. What are those two important things for successful execution of bhakti and to realize the bliss that one can experience by executing bhakti? So those two things are the purity of the living entity. So the living entity, who is the abode of devotion, must be pure. And the second is the complete manifestation of Bhagwan, who is the object of devotion. So one has to connect with Him in His complete manifestation as a supreme person. If one stays limited to meditating on the formless aspect of the Lord, the Brahm Jyoti, then one will not attain that bliss. And even if one is meditating on Paramatma, the Super Soul, he will still not get that complete bliss unless one is engaged in loving devotional service of the complete manifestation of the Supreme Absolute Truth, and that is Sri Krishna Bhagwan, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as long as the Jiva believes that Brahm and Paramatma are equal to Bhagwan, he cannot adopt the process of pure devotion. See, again, something very important to understand. Till we become free from this misconception that they are all the same, that the Supreme is formless, without any qualities, without any pastimes, this is the greatest contamination, and in one sense the greatest offense to the Supreme Lord. As long as one stays stuck to this idea, this misconception, he will never be able to surrender to the Supreme Lord and would not be able to adopt the process of pure devotion. The process of bhakti is executed in its purest form only when he realizes Shri Krishna as Purushottam and the highest reality. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states further that in Bhakti Yoga, during the stage of sadhan means the practice, when we are in the practice of devotional service, there are four great anarthas, which are the hindrances to one's spiritual goal. These anarthas or hindrances are to be removed by the power of taking shelter of the Lord, that is, performing the limbs of pure devotion and by association of devotees. What are these four anarthas? These have been described in great detail by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in a book called Madhurya Kadambini. Very important to understand these four major impediments. Briefly, I will explain. The first one is called Swarup Brahm, or illusion about one's true identity, illusion about one's spiritual identity, misunderstanding of the spiritual identity of the Supreme Absolute Truth. This is called Paratattva Brahm, or misunderstanding of the means and object of spiritual perfection, meaning Sadhya Sadhan Tattva Brahm, that who is the worshipable and what is the process to attain him. And then also misunderstanding about the Lord's external energy or the Maya Tattva Brahm. So these are the four illusions. This is the first obstacle. The second obstacle is Asat Trishna, or desire for things that are not real. Asat means unreal, because these are temporary. They have no real existence. So desire for these temporary material things is called Asat Trishna. Also desire for heavenly enjoyment in higher planetary systems, or desire for mystic powers, or desire for mukti, of merging into the effulgence of the Lord, or Brahman is also, or Parbrahm is also called Asat Trishna. The third is called Aparadh, or offenses against the holy name, offenses against the Vaishnavas, offenses against the deity of the Lord, in the service to the Lord. So like this, there are many offenses. And the fourth obstacle is called Hriday Daurbalyam, or the weakness of the heart. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that of these four obstacles, Hriday Daurbalyam, or weakness of the heart, which arises from attachment of the material world, is one of the biggest problems. He says within this obstacle also, within Hriday Daurbalya, the Jiva's first weakness of heart is his desire to enjoy the material energy by misusing the freedom that Bhagwan bestowed upon him in his pure condition. So in our pure condition, when we were not contaminated in the Tatastha energy or the marginal potency of the Lord gave us free will, independence to decide what we want to do. Whether we want to be with him and serve him in his abode and be always blissful, or we want to rebel against him and live in this material world and suffer. We misused our freedom and decided to enjoy independent of him. So this is the first weakness of the living entity's heart, is his desire to enjoy independent of the Lord. Later on, while wandering in the material world, in so many different lifetimes, we have been going from one species to another species, in one planet to another planet. So by wandering all through the material world, the Jiva develops his second weakness of the heart, which is an attachment to the sense objects. So then slowly we become attached to various sense objects. All other anarthas, all these other obstacles that I was describing, the four major ones, and then all the subtypes, are generated from these two weaknesses of the heart. So first, the desire to enjoy independent of the Lord, and then our attachment to sense objects are the root causes of all our problems. And how will this problem be removed? If one, as I was saying before, with some faith takes to the devotional practice under the guidance of devotees. The process is so potent simply by chanting the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, one will slowly become free from these sinful desires, one's heart will strengthen, and one will be able to overcome all the weaknesses and all the obstacles on the path of self-realization. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada states in the commentary that the Lord clearly explains here that this is the substance of all revealed scriptures. And one should understand this as it is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, one will become intelligent and perfect in transcendental knowledge. In other words, by understanding this philosophy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engaging in his transcendental service, everyone can become freed from all contaminations of the modes of material nature. So, this is a universal religion. What Krishna is describing to Arjun is not for a particular community or for a particular religion or for people of a particular race or color or caste or country. This applies to everyone because we are all spiritual entities. We are all souls. We are not these physical bodies. Externally, we may have different types of bodies of different colors. We may be born in different regions of the world, but constitutionally, we are all the same. So, therefore, this transcendental knowledge applies to everyone. And anyone, irrespective of their caste, creed, community, country, affiliation, whatever it may be, if one sincerely takes to this process of bhakti, devotional service, then one can become free from all the contaminations of the modes of material nature. Devotional service is a process of spiritual understanding. It's not a ritualistic process. Devotional service is not meant to be a process for fulfilling our material desires. So therefore, bhakti has nothing to do with going to a temple and just begging for different material things. That's what a lot of people end up thinking bhakti to be. But that's not what bhakti is. Bhakti is a spiritual process. It's a process of realizing our true spiritual self. So wherever devotional service exits, the material contamination. So wherever devotional service exists, the material contamination cannot exist. So they cannot be there at the same time. Devotional service to the Lord and the Lord Himself are one and the same because they are spiritual. Devotional service takes place within the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. So this is a manifestation of the internal energy of the Lord, the internal energy of the Lord by which His spiritual world is created. Bhakti is a potency, is an aspect of that internal potency of the Lord. That's why it is so powerful. But the other processes like the Dhyan Yoga or Gyan Yoga or Karam Yoga or all these other, or Hatha Yoga, these have nothing to do with the internal potency of the Lord. They are of the material world, therefore they don't have the capability to help one progress in spiritual life. That's why, as I was explaining last time also, without the help of bhakti, none of the processes have the capability to give the fruit, the results. So, stated in Chaitanya Charitamrit, Krishna Surya Sam Maya Andhakar, Jaha Krishna Taha Nai Maya Adhikar. That the Lord is like the sun, and ignorance or Maya is like the darkness. Where the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. So if we have Krishna, if we have His holy name, He is not different from His holy name, then there is no possibility of any illusion, any darkness of illusion existing within our heart. Therefore, when devotional service is present under the proper guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, there is no question of ignorance. Everyone must take to this consciousness of Krishna and engage in devotional service to become intelligent and purified. Only then the society can be saved. Everyone, if we take to this process, then this world will become like Vaikuntha. Unless one comes to this position of understanding Krishna and engages in devotional service, however intelligent he may be in the estimation of some common men, he is not perfectly intelligent. So real intelligence means to take to spiritual life, to Krishna consciousness. Now is the age of artificial intelligence. By its very name, this intelligence is artificial. Just like artificial food cannot nourish your body, artificial flowers cannot give any fragrance. Similarly, artificial intelligence cannot give you real happiness. It cannot solve your problems, and we are actually seeing it is creating more problems, and it will create more problems. If we really want to become happy, if we really want to solve the problems of our life, then we have to take to spiritual intelligence. We have to take shelter of the confidential knowledge that Krishna is giving in this chapter. Sri Gurudev concludes the commentary by stating that the first 5 verses explain the characteristics of pure renunciation that destroy these weaknesses. The weaknesses that we just discussed, the various obstacles, and especially the weakness of material enjoyment and attachment to sense objects. From the 6th verse to the end of this chapter, a deliberation on the fundamental truth of the Supreme Person, along with appropriate renunciation, which is called Yukta Vairagya, which is generated from bhakti, is given. So from the 6th to this last chapter, Shri Krishna is describing who the Supreme Person is and what is real renunciation. That when we engage everything in His service, that is called Yukta Vairagya. Artificial renunciation is when we give up things that can be used in the service of the Lord. So the real renunciation is that we are not attached to the material objects, but if something can be used in the service of the Lord, we do not reject it. That is real renunciation or Yukta Vairagya. This chapter describes the difference between inert matter and spirit and presents a deliberation on different manifestations of conscious reality. So with this, by the mercy of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, we conclude the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita titled Purushottam Yoga. Hope you have understood confidential knowledge that Shri Krishna is giving in this chapter. Please make a sincere effort to read all these 20 verses and understand their meaning. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I will do my best to respond to your questions. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Have a very blessed day.